Slick new intro, Gabe. What about it? I got you in there.
I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. Now my mom can watch the show.
All right.
And show her friends.
Fantastic. Welcome to Talking Trash. Jason here, Gabe there. We're gonna have our 1 hot minutes as usual, and today a special treat instead of word association. We're gonna fill the body. We're gonna have out of body experiences and become some sports figures or other figures, and tell you our New Year's resolutions because it's the first show of 2012.
That's right. Looking forward to it, Jay.
It's gonna be good. 1 hot minute. You want to lead or follow?
I'll lead. I'll
Lead.
go first. All right.
Get
So for my hot minute today, I just want to express for the last time how disillusioned I am with college football, the whole playoff process, the BCS process, everything that has to do with the way college football selects their champion. Out of every college sport, Division I, major college football is the only one that doesn't have a playoff. There's been many arguments as to why, from the fact that, you know, it keeps students out of class, it's too expensive, logistically it's a nightmare, but if Division III, Division II can figure it out, so can major Division I. I mean, part of what you could see the problem is now we have LSU taking on Alabama next week for the championship in a rematch. 2 teams from the same division. I think that's the only major sport where you can, other than college basketball, which has its own tournament, where you can have 2 teams from the same division play for the championship. Professional sports, you have the AFC, NFC, NBA East, NBA West. NHL, you have your 2 different conferences. So college football is the only sport other than college basketball with their tournament where that's acceptable. So now when you look at the major bowl games, we've had Stanford, Oklahoma State in the Fiesta. You saw Oregon against Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. And you also had last night Michigan taking on Virginia Tech. 2 of those 3 games were decided in overtime. One was decided by a touchdown on the last possession in a shootout in Pasadena. What if those 3 games were part of a major playoff? I think ratings would be through the roof. I think people would just get caught up in college football, and I think that would be what's best for the game. So hopefully for a resolution for next year, we move towards a new playoff system for college football.
I almost made the BCS one of my things, but I'm glad that you touched on it, because I feel like out of the 2 of us, you're definitely the only guy here that's going to pay attention to college football. I haven't watched a single bowl game yet because I just know that they don't matter, and the one that matters is coming up, but the first time they played, it wasn't an exciting game. Why would I want to watch it now? I heard Aaron Andrews say this morning, tickets to that game are going for no less than $1,000. I'd pay $10 to get in and not a 0 more. I don't understand why people are so excited to see this game unless you're a fan of one of those schools, because it wasn't good the first time, and they already played once. What are we fighting for? Well, the BCS championship, apparently. All right, I'm ready for my 1 hot minute, and I want to talk about something that's actually not hot. It's very cold. And it's the NHL Winter Classic. It took place the other day between the Flyers and the New York Rangers at Citizens Bank Park, where the Phillies play outside. This is one of the best events the NHL has all year. It's one of those moments where they really get to put their stamp on their game and be a quality game in the middle of the day that a lot of people have off. And it's a great event. They have an alumni game before. In fact, Vermont's own John LeClaire got a great goal in that with Eric Lindros. The old Legion of Doom line hooking up there in that game. I mean, that's just a great event, and it's a great thing, but what I think the NHL needs to do is they need to take that and they need to expand it out and not only have a couple of old classic teams play. I want to see the All-Star game played outside, because the Winter Classic really brings a lot of attention to the sport, and I say take a week off, have your NHL Winter Classic, have that alumni game, have the All-Star game, all in one place, have it be this big festival all week long, and I think it would be great for the NHL, especially around, I think this time of season is good. College football is winding down. You got the NBA and the NHL that are kind of in their middle of the season, and it would be a good stamp for the NHL to push forward. I think they need to do more with what they've got right now, because right now it's good and it could be better.
I agree with you. I think the NHL is missing a major marketing opportunity. I feel like every year people are excited about the Winter Classic. Yep. You have the All-Star game, and then there's a lull until the Stanley Cup playoff. Part of the reason I think hockey hasn't caught on is people do not know who are hockey's major stars. I know they were trying to build up Ovechkin and Crosby for the past few years. Crosby's been hurt. the Capitals have underachieved with Ovechkin, so I think if he would have made it to, say, the Stanley Cup Finals, win or lose, I think that would have helped, get the game out there more. But right now, you look at stars, and the NHL is void of them. But if they create more of these games, more of these events, it'll be easier to find stars and market their product.
Oh, we got a call. I kind of forgot the phone was here. Surprised me. Let's see what they've got to say. Caller, you're on Talking Trash. Hello. Nothing. Well, thanks for calling anyway. Yeah, I think that I'd like to see that thing expanded. I know it would make it hard for places like Tampa to maybe host an All-Star game, but I think it'd be a good idea to expand it out there. I disagree with you a little bit on the stars. I think the NHL does have some star power. I just think they're not marketed correctly, because there are a lot of guys, and I do follow a lot of NHL players on Twitter. These guys have some charisma. There's some good guys out there. You just don't know about them, and you have to be a fan of the NHL to dig in and find them, and you shouldn't have to. They should be in your living room. You should know. Some of them should be household names, and you just don't. But I think if you really want to get into the NHL, you can find them and you know who the stars are. But like you say, they need to become a household name the way Wayne Gretzky once was, and be that guy that everybody knows no matter what.
I mean, well, I think every sport has their stars, but when I mean stars, I meant like crossover in terms of commercials, in terms of marketing. The way you see Peyton Manning, he hasn't played a game this year, and he's in all these commercials. Aaron Rodgers now in that commercial where, they kind of mock him about the
Just
championship belt. There you go. So free plug for them. But there are no hockey stars out there who are making those commercials. What the NHL doesn't want to do, but they may have to do, or they should to better their product, is to contract some teams. I look at a team like Tampa Bay, who has Steven Stamkos, Martin St. Louis, Vincent Lecavalier, three of the best players in the NHL. Put them in New York. Put them in Philly. Put them in Montreal.
Right.
Now you're talking about an explosion in terms of their marketing capability.
Right.
So I think you need to get out, you contract teams like Tampa, Carolina that are in the warm weather cities, Nashville.
Columbus.
Yeah, and then you get those stars playing on more marketable teams with more money, like the Red Wings as well. And then players will become more household names, and then you'll be able to sell your sport better.
But conversely, I think the NHL really, who just wants to expand and be as big as possible, would never want to remove those guys from Tampa, because then Tampa's hockey, it would die. And right now it does okay, because you've got a lot of people who move down south from up north, and at least they can go see their teams play while they live there when they retire to Florida. Hey, that's kind of my plan, Gabe. Let's move Tampa Bay. Right. I need to watch them in the future. All right, I'm ready to do these New Year's resolutions. I don't know if you are. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You want to lead or go?
No, I'll follow.
You'll follow this time. All right. All right. I'm Tim Tebow, and I have a New Year's resolution. And it's to continue to love Jesus Christ and to continue to talk about it, because anybody who hates me for liking him is surely going to be living in eternal damnation. So there's no reason for anyone to get mad at me about that. I'm going to keep going out and doing what I need to do, but my real resolution is I'm going to learn to throw the football and become a more efficient passer, which I have not done yet so far this season, and I probably won't in the playoffs.
Okay. Going.
You want me to keep rolling?
Yeah,
I thought we were going to go back and forth. All right, I'll keep rolling. All right, now I'm Phillip Rivers, and I'm pretty excited that our coach is coming back, Norv Turner, because he pretty much lets me do whatever I want. So my New Year's resolution is I'm going to watch Drew Brees video in my basement, all alone with the lights off and a box of Kleenex, because there's going to be some tears. Every time I think about the fact that Drew Brees was here and they replaced him with me, I feel bad that this franchise could have had Drew Brees at quarterback and they're stuck with me. So I'm going to watch some things from him. I'm going to watch him take the Saints through the playoffs, and I'm going to learn what I can do to become a better player, so that way Norv Turner can be here past next season, because Norv is lucky to be coming back for this one. All right, I'll keep rolling. My next one's Sidney Crosby. We just talked about me, which is awesome, because I'm Sidney Crosby, and I should be the Wayne Gretzky of the NHL. But my resolution is when I come back, I'm wearing a football helmet because I get too many concussions because guys are taking runs at me because the NHL isn't the same as it used to be. Guys find a good player now and they aim at him. They're looking to take him out. They want that big hit on him, and I'm that guy. So I'm going to prepare by wearing a lot of padding around my dome so when I come back, I'm here for good. All right, now I'm Dwight Howard, and I don't really want to say what my resolution is, but I want to stay in Orlando. And lastly, I am Albert Pujols, and my New Year's resolution is to spend more time with my family and enjoy the great Southern California weather and to stop working so darn hard at baseball. I've won every major award there is in baseball at least twice now. What do I have left to play for? I got my money, I got my family in SoCal, and I'm just going to kick back. Nah, you know I'm going to play good. I'm Albert Pujols. I just hit in my sleep. What can I do? That's it. Those are the resolutions again.
You had like 5 of the most self-absorbed athletes. I never knew that about them.
You don't. But there was some of them are resolving to not be that way or to make things better. You know, when you take a look in the mirror when you're making that resolution, you gotta have a big head there. You gotta be honest with yourself and say, hey, what am I good at? What am I bad at?
Okay.
You know?
All right. I'm going to look in the mirror now.
All right.
And I'm going to come with my resolutions. So,
all right.
My first one is I'm Tiger Woods, and I'm going to do everyone a favor. I'm going to go out and win a major this year so that you don't have to hear every tournament, every major, whether I still have it or not, whether I'm going to reach Jack Nicklaus' record, whether I could put the past behind me. I'm going to put the past behind me for you so you don't have to hear, does Tiger still have it? I'm Rex Ryan, and I am still the coach of the New York Jets. This offseason, you will not hear me make any predictions about going or winning the Super Bowl.
Bold.
That's very hard for me. Very
Bold.
hard for me.
It will be tough.
As Rex Ryan. Hi, I'm Kim Kardashian, and I'm going to make a resolution that I will not date or marry any athletes this year. And hi, I'm LeBron James. I promise to show up in the 4th quarter of playoff games this year.
These are bold. These are bold. I'm enjoying them.
And you thought you heard from me before, but I'm back again, Tim Tebow. And I promise this year to work on throwing a spiral.
All good. All great. All great things. I'm looking forward to Tiger Woods actually doing that. I'm not a big golf fan. I don't follow golf much. I make no secret of it. But we all know Tiger Woods is the man. When people still say, does he have it? Does he have it? Yeah, he's Tiger Woods. He'd beat pretty much everybody on his worst day. And maybe he hasn't won the majors lately, but I think you're right. I think he's going to be getting back to form here. And I'm surprised that Rex Ryan didn't have anything in there about his weight, because a lot of big people make resolutions with weight at New Year's. I don't know.
Well, I mean, working out, weight, I mean, that's just so yes, sir. Everyone makes it, like you said. So, but for Rex not to predict the Jets making the Super Bowl,
tough,
huge.
I actually listened to Rex because I remember in our NFL preseason show, I had the Jets in the Super Bowl. So I'm pretty disappointed. But at least this year, if he doesn't tell me, then I won't feel so ripped off at the end when they don't make it.
Well, you know what's great about the regular season ending is now you have time for redemption. So let's talk about the NFL playoffs.
Let's do.
All right, so we got a couple matchups this week. The top 2 teams in each conference have gotten byes, those being the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. And in the West, or in the NFC, rather, you have the top seed, the Green Bay Packers, followed by the 2nd seed, the San Francisco 49ers. So going into this weekend's matchups, Jay, which one intrigues you the most?
Ooh, which one intrigues me the most? I think the most intriguing matchup is Lions-Saints. Just from a standpoint of there's going to be offense. And so if you're a casual football fan and you only want to see one of the 4 games, that'd be the one I'd want to watch. I still think the Saints are going to have more offense to be able to do it, but I look forward to the Lions giving him all they've got and trying it. I mean, they played like heck at Green Bay the other day, scoring a bunch of points against a pretty good D. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. That's the one that I would like to see the most. And one of my teams is playing in one of those games. So I don't know what that tells you.
The truth comes out.
Well, the truth comes out. I don't want to see that game because the Steelers are going to destroy the Broncos.
Well, you made it no secret that you do not like defensive battles, or else you'd love to go to watch Alabama play LSU. But the Saints game, I just think the Saints are going to probably outlast Detroit. Detroit, first time being in the playoffs for a while. New Orleans playing at home, playing in the Dome. Like you said, both teams put up great numbers, but I just feel Detroit, with their lack of running game, will make them one-dimensional. Yep. And once New Orleans can pin their ears back and attack Matthew Stafford, I think he might throw a couple of picks, and then that'll swing the game in New Orleans' favor. And I think the Saints might run away with it by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, this Lions team is a young team. They're a talented team, but this is a lot of these guys' first playoff attempt here. So I don't think it's really a lost season if they don't win this game in New Orleans. This is more of a team on the way up than a team on the way out. Whereas if the Saints were to lose this game to the Lions, there may be a team that are falling off the radar instead of back on into their Super Bowl form where they were. So, I mean, I think the Saints are going to win here. And in the other NFC game, which pits your Giants versus the Atlanta Falcons, even though they just barely scraped in, I really like the Giants here. They tend to play well in mini spurts, and this game matters, and they're at home. I feel like I'm liking the Giants here. I feel like the Falcons hit a little bump in the road here at the wrong time of the season, and I'm liking the Giants right now.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Giants. I mean, the thing is, Giant fans will attest to this. This season, when you think the Giants are peaking, they lay an egg.
True.
They beat the Cowboys earlier in the season, go home, lose to the Redskins.
Right.
They play well at the beginning, they lose at home to the Seahawks. But playoff stakes are high. Also, Giants' backfield's healthy with Bradshaw and Jacobs, so when they're both healthy, they tend to play better offensively and have more balance. Another thing to look forward to for the Giants is O.C. Umenoro's back. Justin Tuck looked pretty healthy against the Cowboys, so you have those two with JPP. Looks like the Giants should be in the backfield all day against Matt Ryan.
This is one of those years where, and I can say this is true for the AFC as well, where I feel like really, other than the Packers, there isn't that standout dominant. There's usually 2 or 3 dominant teams. You don't see that this year, and I feel like those are the years when teams like the Patriots and the Giants, who are always pretty good or can make a run late in the year, make their runs. And I'm a little frightened about those two teams as we go into the playoffs. If the Giants and the Saints were to win, then you get the 49ers and the Saints the next weekend, Giants versus Packers. I feel like that's where the Giants would get off because I have the Packers over the Saints in the NFC Championship game. I'm sticking with the Packers. They were my preseason pick to win it. They're still my pick to win it. Pack, NFC champs.
I think the Pack will be back. So,
If they can do it with Matt Flynn, they can do it with Aaron Rodgers.
I think you could have thrown a couple touchdowns suiting up for him this weekend.
Maybe. I mean, I got a better spiral than Tim Tebow, I think. That guy didn't throw any touchdown passes last weekend.
Well, speaking of Tebow, you mentioned you think their season shot against the Steelers this week. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, backing into the playoffs, losing your last 3 games, the only thing that gives the Broncos any kind of chance is they might have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And, of course, they're at home, which is nice. But they're playing against a playoff perennial team like the Steelers, who are just hungry. And this is an AFC that is ripe for someone to take it. And like I said about the Patriots and the Giants earlier, you could throw the Steelers in there too. They're always there. They're always in the conversation. And I think that the Steelers not only beat the Broncos, but because I also have the Bengals beating the Texans, then the Steelers would meet the Ravens in the next round. And the Ravens beat the Steelers 2 times this season. But you can't beat a good team 3 times in the playoffs, or 3 times in one season. I've almost never seen it happen. That's when the Steelers would make their upset, but their run would end there. I have the Patriots coming out of the AFC over the Steelers.
You see, I think there could be a chance for a little religious revival in Denver and Tebow and the Broncos putting up a good fight. But I'm like you, I like Pittsburgh over Denver. And I really think that the AFC will be predicated upon the Houston-Cincinnati game. And the reason I say this is I have Houston winning that game. If Houston wins, that means New England would have to defeat Pittsburgh and Baltimore back-to-back weeks. If it pans out like you said with Cincinnati defeating Houston, I think New England will walk through Cincinnati. They'll get the winner of Baltimore and Pittsburgh at home. So I think if they only have to face one of them, they'll get through. But if Houston could beat Cincinnati, New England will have to go through a gauntlet of Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and I don't know if this New England team's tough enough to do that.
I don't disagree with that at all. It's a key statement. In fact, I think the Texans, you could say the same thing about them as you would say about the Lions, where this is a team that's on their way up. They've always been on the verge. They're in the playoffs now. A lot of guys first time. They're missing, they're on their third string quarterback, so they haven't been the same team here at the end of the season. But they did beat the Bengals in Cincinnati with this quarterback that they have now. So it's not a game that they should lose. They should win it probably, but it's a toss-up. I think a lot of people have that as a coin toss right now.
Yeah.
But it definitely will affect how the rest of the AFC shakes out.
I just like the big play capability of Arian Foster and Andre Johnson, and playing at home. First time ever, playoff game for Houston. That place is going to be rocking. Andy Dalton, still in his rookie year, had a phenomenal rookie year. But I think the element, the big game, being at home is going to play a huge role in the game, and that's why lean towards Houston.
Yeah, the Bengals are also a young team that hasn't been in a big situation. Neither one of these teams is. So when you go experience, there really isn't somebody to say, yeah, this team's got more experience in big games. And I think the fact that the Texans are home does lend to them being able to do it. But I don't know. I like the Bengals offense to be able to get it done. We'll see. That is a big swing game. So who do you have coming out of the AFC? Though?
I like Baltimore.
Yeah?
I like Baltimore going up against the Packers. So I just think Baltimore, if Pittsburgh doesn't knock off New England, I think the Ravens will.
I'd like to see that because I hate watching the Patriots play at any time. So the further they go in the playoffs, it stinks. But I have the Patriots actually making the Super Bowl because unfortunately what I want to happen very rarely does. So I have the Patriots and the Packers, and of course I'm sticking with the Pack all the way.
Right. And I like the Packers over the Ravens, so we agree there.
Because in my preseason pick, I'll mention it again because it is 2012 now finally, that the end of days is coming. And football all began in the Super Bowls with back-to-back Packers wins. So the world is going to end with back-to-back Packers. And if they win, watch out. Batten the hatches down, because that'll mean that it's coming down. We got about 7 minutes, Gabe. I know we want to talk about the America East men's basketball. The men kick off their home season in America East basketball tomorrow night against BU. Very big game because obviously these should be two of the top teams in the conference. They lost Monday night to Stony Brook, and in their first game of the America East Conference. And so when it comes right down to this, I know you had a good fact that you shared with us before the game. Share it now because this is a key stat when you're talking about the America East.
So in the America East Conference, the last 23 times the America East tournament's been played, it has been won by the number 1 or 2 seed, all but once.
Yeah.
And the one year that happened was 1993 when Delaware was seeded number 3 and defeated Drexel, who was number 1.
Blue Hens.
Yeah, that's right. So former America East members, but it just goes to show how important, how vitally crucial the America East regular season is. So if we're looking at that and the top 2 seeds are most important, it's looking, in my opinion, based off non-conference play, I like Albany and Stony Brook to meet eventually in the America East final.
Ooh, all SUNY school final. I don't know about that one, my friend. I think that if I got right down to it, I like Vermont when the postseason comes. I think that by the time that the whole America East season shakes out, if they're healthy, they'll be able to make a run when the time comes. But I think Stony Brook and BU will be your 1 and 2 seeds, which would obviously make them favored, as far as what we know. And let's be honest, the America East as a men's basketball conference is terrible. I mean, it usually is the last rated conference in all of men's
currently
basketball,
it's one of the 2 worst conferences in America.
Right. So if America East isn't sending one of its top 2 seeds, it's almost automatic. It's a 16 seed. Heck, even if you're the number 1, you're usually a 16 seed.
Correct.
So you have to do something big in the preseason, before your tournament starts or before your conference play starts. And no team has really been that standout.
Right.
But a few teams have played pretty well, and I think that other than Vermont, Albany obviously is one of the top 4 teams. I think it really comes down to those 4 teams up at the top, with Maine knocking at the door. Maybe they might be the next thing
Maine's
to come in
been somewhat surprising. Maine's led by Gerald McLemore, shooting guard for him who's averaging just a shade under 20 points. And Maine also has the top freshman in the league, Justin Edwards, who's scoring at a 16-point clip. He's the main reason why Maine, who was predicted to come in 6th in the league, has now, in the eyes of some, think that Maine's being catapulted probably to a top 3 finish if you go by, early non-conference play. So I think this year the America East is going to be really competitive. You got about 4 or 5 teams who some people think have a really good chance to win it. That's why I think tomorrow night's game for UVM is crucial. I mean, BU was predicted to win the league. You never want to give up a home game, especially this early, and UVM doesn't want to start out 0-2. So I think it's imperative for UVM to get off the snide and get a win tomorrow against BU.
Yeah, if Stony Brook, BU, Vermont, and Albany are your top 4 teams, and you start out the year losing 2 games to 2 of those teams, and you're already fighting an uphill battle, which the Catamounts don't need to do. I still think if they get in the tournament and they're not one of the top 2 seeds, that they still have as good a chance as those 1 or 2 seeds, which might buck the trends that we've heard. But I like the Cats come tournament time. They always seem to be a force. And let's be honest, I mean, other than Vermont and BU, they're always a part of the conversation at the end of the year. They are the Steelers and Patriots, if you will, of the America East, because they're always in the conversation, and you've always got to take them seriously. But there's a long conference play to go, and you never know, anything can shake out. Last year, the middle seeds were all separated by like 1 game, 2 games. So after 1 and 2, there's a big jumble around there. So that could affect if the Catamounts finished in a spot where they had to play the 1 seed in the tournament first and not in the finals, that could affect how things shake out.
Yeah, I think a reason why it's important also to get a 1 or 2 seed this year is if you get that, you should walk through the quarterfinal and then just have to win that semifinal game to get you to the championship game. Whereas if you're anywhere between 3 to 6, there's not going to be much difference, as you said, with those teams. So you're basically, just flipping a coin in terms of who's going to get out of that semifinal game. And then with no rest in between, you got to come play back the next day. So if you have a tough game in the quarterfinals, that makes the semifinal game even that much more difficult. Because right now, if you look at the America East, the bottom 3 teams have combined 2 victories.
I was just going to mention that because on January 15th, one of them will finally get their first win of the season. Both Binghamton and Hartford have started the season 0-13. And they have a few games before, but I know in Binghamton's case, they're taking on Stony Brook, BU, Vermont. So they really got to look at that Hartford game as maybe being their first win. But it's pretty sad. The 2 teams in our conference have played 26 games and come up with no wins. And if you want to go ahead and throw in the other team, who also has only won 2. Yeah, that's part of the reason we're in the lowest common denominator of teams when it comes to tournaments. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They're just not a good conference. Yeah, it's hard to get the good student athletes. I mean, you would know this probably better than anyone. How do you talk a student athlete into coming up and playing in this kind of cold weather? It's hard to do.
Yeah, well, I think part of the reason why Vermont's been successful is because somewhat of tradition. It hasn't been very long tradition, but at UVM, they pack Patrick Gym. At UNH, you get 500 people. Right. At Maine, I felt so bad one year at Maine. They retired a guy's jersey, and there were about 40 people at the game. Ugh. So that makes it difficult to recruit and get kids on campus if fans aren't going to be there. Sure.
I mean, if you're talking about the weather and then the campus is nice, but if people aren't interested, and that is the one nice thing about UVM, is that we're the only gig in town for a lot of towns, actually. Yeah. You could drive a long way and still not get to anything that matters. And I think that works in our favor at all of our events because they're pretty well packed. And speaking of, the UVM women are about ready to tip off right now. With BU in their second game of the America East Conference play. But we are done for another week, my good sir.
Oh, well, it goes by quick. It goes by quick.
Time flies when you're pretending to be other people.
So next week, we'll talk about playoffs, and we'll talk about the BCS championship game.
Indeed we will. We will be back next week. Thanks for coming.